you doing? I hope you're well. I'm Diana and welcome to my channel. In homage to what I post a lot of the times on TikTok and Instagram, I figured for my first video I would do a book haul. So here is all the books that I have adopted in January and February. Some of these were special editions that have arrived, others were some gifts, and yes, there's a few of them, but hey, book buying and reading books are two very separate hobbies. In January, Jess from the First Chapter Books, who is an independent romance bookseller in Adelaide, had a launch for her physical bookstore. I love Jess and everything that she does, so I jumped on a plane and went to Adelaide and picked up a few things from her opening event. Not only did we get to see the store in person, but she did have a number of authors signing and I couldn't help myself. So first off, from the books that I got from Jess, I picked up The One I Want by Siobhan Davis. Siobhan Davis is an author that I first started reading because of Jess. She recommended me the All of Me duet, and Siobhan Davis has become a auto buy for when in the mood for an emotional read. This one is a second chance romance, so I am sure it is going to have all the feels. I also picked up books 3 and 4 of the Boys of Belrose series by Tate James and Jamin Eve. I normally just pick up one of them whenever I make an order with Jess. So this is Shattered Dreams and Beautiful Thorns. All I know is that it's a dark YA rockstar romance, and books that are YA and have rock stars are an absolute auto buy for me. From the authors who were signing there, I picked up a few books from Helen Walton. I picked up this adorable little novella, Lust Man to the Rescue, which is a Halloween theme, which I just couldn't pass up. It was super cute. And then I picked up books 1 and 2 in her Fated Mates of the Fae Royal series. So I've got Fae Song and Fae's Wolf, and I am super, they're also signed. It was wonderful to meet Helen, and I'm super excited to get started in a new fantasy romance series. Lorelei Johnson was also there, and I couldn't help but pick up Luna, which is the first book in her McLeod's Brothers trilogy, and all I know about this one is that it's a rejected werewolf shifter fated mate story, so that sounded right up my alley, also signed. And then I picked up The Prince of Never, which is by Lorelei Johnson and Hayley Jade, because this is a fantasy romance, and it says if you like fated mates, political intrigue, and star-crossed lovers, which I love all of those, pick it up. So I did. It's also signed, and it says because everyone wants to be kidnapped by a fae prince, and ain't that the truth. And since Hayley Jade was there, I did pick up books 1 and 2 in her Dark Reflections series. So we have Her Dark Reflection and Her Blind Deception, and I'm obsessed with these covers. They're stunning. And again, it's a fantasy romance. I think this one is a fairy tale retelling. It's a dark reimagining of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, so that sounds very interesting. Okay, the next little category I've decided to categorize is signed books, and I have a number of signed books from some of my favorite indie authors, which I am so excited for. So first up is Of Chords and Dreams by L.A. Cannon. L.A. Cannon is an indie author who writes some of the most amazing rockstar romances I have ever read, and this is an MM rockstar romance, and it has all the angst, all the music, and a bi-wicking. This was one of my favorite reads of 2023, so super excited to have it as part of my collection. Next up, Gabrielle Sands had opened up a store, and I couldn't help myself by picking up books 3 and 4 in her Fallen series. So we have When She Falls and When She Loves. These are some excellent dark mafia romance books. They follow a group of sisters in this one. So this one is like enemies to lovers. There is a surprise pregnancy in here, and then we have another enemies to lovers age gap romance. If you're in the mood for a dark mafia romance, highly recommend these ones, and I am completely obsessed with these covers. They're all this beautiful like jewel tone, and they have jewels on the front, and I'm in love with them. So I'm very excited to add them to the other 2 in the collection and see what Gabrielle brings out next. Next up, I did get a number of special editions in the last couple of months that has arrived home. So first off, my pre-order of Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros arrived with the beautiful sprayed edges. I think everyone knows what this series is about. It follows a girl named Violet who is sent to this dragon riding academy, which has very much Hunger Games vibes. Haven't read it yet because I was waiting for Iron Flame to come out, but that is high up on my TBR. Then we have my Fabled editions for November, which arrived, and we have Tasting Red by Holly Roberts, which was part of their Fabled Moonlight box, which is their steamy paranormal and fantasy romance line. All I know is that this is a very steamy Red Riding retelling, and it is beautiful. I absolutely love what Fable does with their editions. I also got the November Fabled Twilight book, which was Caught This Cruel and Lovely by Stasia Stark. Again, stunning. I've got the stenciled edges and just the same hourglass on the front. I've heard amazing things about this series and I'm very excited to dive in. I believe it's a fantasy romance which have fae, but yes, very, very excited to pick this one up. So special edition sets of two of my favorite authors did arrive in January and I am so excited. So first one's first is the omnibus edition of The Season of the Vampire by Lana Perhacek, which Internal Embers Bookshop released, and I am absolute sucker for this like purple gray foiling on the slipcase. And then we have our three main vampire guys on the back. They're leading ladies. It's beautiful. It's literally one of my absolute favorite editions, and it's going to sit right quite nicely on my Lana Perhacek shelf. This is the second trilogy in Lana's Fae Guardian series, which follows this post-apocalyptic world, and the Fae give me very much Witcher vibes, and we have basically a very intense political landscape and a series of Fae who have been gifted by the well of their world and can carry illegal materials such as metal and plastics, and they pretty much are the policing force in this world, and not everyone likes them. And it's basically, we follow the big macro plot, which is just so incredible. I don't know how she keeps it all in her head. And then we follow each of the guardians in their fated mates romance. The vampires I particularly loved. I just loved her take on vampires. They're like, well, everyone is like Fae, as you can see by like their ears, and the guy have bat wings. So yeah, I'm in love. And then we have the early present I bought for myself for graduating from my library diploma, which is these stunning editions of Meg Ann and Kay Lorraine's The Make Games War series. So we have Obsession, Rejection, Possession, and Temptation. This is a Why Choose paranormal romance which has so much drama, a lot of spice, and yeah, I'm completely obsessed with them. They're by far my favorite audiobooks that I've ever read, but I couldn't help myself, as these pretty much live rent-free in my mind and have completely taken over my personality in 2023, so I couldn't pass up the chance to pick up this collection, which they launched on a Kickstarter. I guess the next theme will just kind of be like other. Some of these books I was gifted. So first up we have Nalini Singh's Love Hard, which is part of her Hard Play series, which is contemporary romances set in New Zealand. I have read this one and really love this one. It's like a rivals to lovers romance, and we have a single dad here, which is, honestly, I'm not a big fan of like single dad romance or kids in books, but the kid in this book honestly stole my heart, and I'm a massive Nalini Singh fan, so super excited to add this one to my collection. And this was a wonderful book fairy from Laura Smith, so thank you so much for adding this one to my collection. Next up we have some books my partner did get for me for Christmas. There was a delay in shipping, so they arrived in January. So we have Straight On Till Morning by KJ Sutton, which is a Peter Pan retelling, which I completely love. A Peter Pan retelling. It's one of my absolute favorites. So I'm very excited to get to this one. I know she's very popular for her Fortuna Sworn series, but I'm excited to check out her writing style in this one. On the Peter Pan retelling train, I also got Never by Jessa Hastings. Jessa Hastings' other series, the Magnolia Park universe, really doesn't super interest me. So when I saw she had this one come out, I'm really excited for this one. This one seems to be that the girls in Wendy's line, Peter Pan seems to come after them. So yeah, but Peter might not be the hero we want him to be, and maybe a certain captain might be who she ends up with. I got a physical copy of Wings So Wicked by Emily Blackwood. This was my first read of the year and I completely adored it. So if you like The Serpents of Wings and Night by Carissa Broadbent, I think you're really gonna love this one. We have the same kind of dark fantasy vibes we've got in this world, fae, vampires and angels, and basically our lead character Hunter has been raised by an assassin and she has been tasked to go to this academy and basically win a bunch of trials, deadly trials, to end up in the Golden City, which is where all the angels are, and it's supposed to be like this peak utopian society. We also have a romance with a broody bad boy with wings. If you did enjoy The Serpent and the Wings of Night, I think you will absolutely love this series. I also got Gilded Wings by Jamin Eve, which is a wonderful portal fantasy, and I'm so excited. Crimson Sky, the sequel, is on my Kindle right now, and it's taking everything in me not to just drop all my reading plans and pick it up. So we follow a girl who was living her best life, dream life, as a librarian in this obscure special library, but one day her world kind of turns upside down when, as she's turning the books to the shelves, one of the books in the special collection is stolen. And she's been roped in by the owner of the library, Dangerfield. Yes, Dangerfield, to help him find it. And she ends up in the fae world and danger ensues. I also got a copy of Lilith by George MacDonald. This is one of my all-time favorite classics. I did pick this up on a recommendation when I was at uni studying creative writing, and this is another portal fantasy. It's kind of like a gothic romance and gives me Alice in Wonderland vibes. So this edition is completely stunning and I will have to pick it up for a reread very soon. I also got books 2 and 3 in Kimberly Lemming's Mead Mishaps books. Book 2 being The Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf, and then That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. I read the first book last year and absolutely loved it. It's got this kind of like cozy humor vibes in a fantasy, and they go on an adventure and love ensues, which sometimes you just need something fun, cozy, and I highly recommend picking up Kimberly Lemming. On release day, I couldn't help myself. I picked up Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I am a massive paranormal romance fan, and when I heard she was coming out with a paranormal romance, I couldn't help but add this one to cart right away. I have been interested in picking up Ellie's work since she started, but the contemporary stuff hadn't really interested me. So all I know is that we're following our vampire princess, Misery, and her arranged marriage with the alpha of the werewolf pack. And I hear there is some light Omegaverse, which interests me, especially coming from a traditional publisher. And yes, this is on my TBR for April. Speaking of paranormal and wolves, I picked up a copy of A Wolf in the Garden by Allegra Hall. This is a book I completely devoured. It has all the slice of life, small town romance vibes with some very, very steamy monster romance scenes and an intriguing world and plot. It's also set in small town New Zealand, so I couldn't help myself that the minute I had finished it, I ordered myself a copy. I also got a copy of Betrayer of Blood by Cassandra Bianducci, who is an Australian indie author, and this was featured in First Chapter Books Aussie Book of the Month. I think this was for November or October. If you can't tell, anything vaguely paranormal or fantasy with the fated mates trope, I am instantly adding to cart. So I am very, very excited to get to this one. I believe we might have an MMF once we move into the series, but yeah, I couldn't pass up the chance to support another indie author. In February for Midsummer, Aesop was posting their queer library again this year. So this is where they get a number of nonfiction and fiction titles by queer people, particularly focusing on queer Australian and New Zealand writers, and they give you an opportunity to get one for free. So I picked up a copy of The Dawn Hounds by Sasha Stronach. All I know is that it is a queer Maori-inspired fantasy, which I am obsessed with that idea. I'm very interested in seeing how that is gonna work, and it follows a thief turned cop turned murderer who's brought back to life. So I am very intrigued. It's a little bit different to what I normally read, but I am very excited to give this one a go. And then last but not least, I think it was either Dimmicks or possibly Amazon was having a sale. So with some leftover Christmas money, I picked up all 4 books in Anna Huang's If Love series, which was her first series. So we have If We Ever Meet Again, If the Sun Never Sets, which is a duet in this series. And then we have If Love Had a Price and If We Were Perfect. So I'm not sure about books 3 and 4, but I know these 2 follow like a second chance romance. Even though we know at the start of book 1 something's gonna happen, I still absolutely sobbed my eyes out at the end when the breakup occurred. And it's following Blake and Farah, who are both on a university exchange and they're in Shanghai. So I really loved that vibe. So probably gonna reread If We Ever Meet Again and then hopefully finish the rest of the series this year. So yes, that is all the books I adopted in January and February. I am not going to attempt to hold them up because there is a lot of them and I'm going to hurt myself, and more importantly, I'll probably drop them and hurt the books. So yes, that is all from me today. So please like and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I will be posting videos every Sunday, and yeah, let me know what your most recent purchase was, or you can leave the book stack emoji in the comment section below. That is all from me today, guys. I hope you're doing all kinds of well, and I will speak to you soon. See ya!